Hey everybody, this is Tracy here with another edition of A View from Tracy's Point. And we are here to talk about the growing trend of black girls, black teenagers being abducted, some of them being murdered. And so when I started working on this piece a couple of weeks ago, I titled it Four Little Black Girls because I was going to talk about Kamille McKinney Cupcake. Remember, she was the girl that was abducted and killed in Alabama, I believe it was. And then three other cases that happened here in 2019 where young black girls were abducted and eventually their bodies were found. Maleah Davis is one, Trinity Jones is another one, and then there was a little girl out of the Pennsylvania area that I'm also going to talk about. But as I was working on this piece, I came across a story about a 19-year-old girl who is also from Alabama who went missing last week. On the last time she was seen was on October 23rd. And so I'm going to give you a little bit about her story. And her name is Aniah Blanchard. She is actually the stepdaughter, if you follow the UFC, which is the Ultimate Fighter. I don't follow it, but it's like mixed martial arts mixed with boxing. And so her stepfather, I guess, is a popular fighter with that organization. I believe his name is Will Harris. But anyway, here's the information on Aniah's case. And they believe that foul play is involved, but as of me doing this, I haven't found any updates showing that they have found her or uncovered her body. From all indications, they do believe that she has been murdered. Okay, the story starts off and it says the Auburn Police Division is asking for the public's assistance in determining the whereabouts of 19-year-old Aniah Haley Blanchard. She was reported missing to Auburn police on October 24th. She last communicated with a friend just before midnight on October 23rd. An investigation into determining her whereabouts is underway. At this point, there is no evidence of foul play. However, the investigation will continue until her whereabouts are determined. Aniah is described as a light complexion black female, 5'6", 125 pounds, brown eyes and brown hair, and was last seen wearing a black dress, tan duck boots with black stockings. She drives a 2017 Honda CR-V, black in color with Alabama tag number 49B356. The whereabouts of this vehicle are not known as well. And so that was the first story that came out, but they've since found the vehicle. The vehicle had damage to the front bumper and tire, like she may have hit something. And so on a follow-up story, it says, and this came out on Saturday, October 26th, police have located the vehicle belonging to Aniah Blanchard, the 19-year-old college student from Homewood who was reported missing earlier this week. Auburn police and Montgomery police found the SUV at an apartment complex in Auburn after a tip from a citizen. Police say there is damage to the SUV, which occurred between the time it was last seen in Auburn just before midnight on Wednesday, October 23rd, and when it was recovered in Montgomery on October 25th. Although the vehicle was recovered, Blanchard has not been located. The investigation continues regarding her disappearance. The next update came on October 27th, and it basically said that a vigil took place in her honor at the United Methodist Church in Homewood. Native Aniah Blanchard, was last seen on October 23rd. And then there was and then on October 28th, Auburn police on Monday released surveillance video showing 19-year-old Aniah Blanchard at a convenience store on South College Street Wednesday, October 23rd. The Auburn Police Division on Monday released a snippet of surveillance video captured on October 23rd showing 19-year-old Aniah making a purchase at a convenience store on South College Street just prior to her vehicle being observed traveling southbound on South College Street. And so the video clip, I'm going to drop it here, is only 4 seconds long, but you can see her walking into the store, and then you also see that there what looks like a man walks into the store a few feet behind her. And so I don't know if that person is a person of interest, because they made sure they cut the video off so that you couldn't see like his face or whatever. And so hopefully that's a lead in her disappearance. On October 29th, her father released a video, or he was interviewed, and he says that, he's devastated about her disappearance. And so the mother, so both sets of parents, so I guess the mother is remarried to the UFC fighter, because he says that she's been in his life, that he's known Aniah since she was 3 years old. And then the father, the biological father, and I guess what appears to be his wife, they actually did a video where they came out and said that that there is no GoFundMe page that has been approved by the family. Do not give money to anyone on GoFundMe. And so they set up a PayPal account, and they gave an email address for that PayPal account. And I'll drop that video here.
Hey guys, we just want to let you know we are the parents of Aniah Blanchard, and we are want to let you guys know that there has been no official GoFundMe account set up for finding Aniah, so we don't want you to donate to any GoFundMe accounts. If you want to donate to us and to find her, we've created a PayPal account, and that PayPal account is going to be, to find that PayPal account is going to be
find Aniah Blanchard at gmail.com. That's find Aniah Blanchard at gmail.com. FINDANIABLANCHARD at gmail.com.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But they were basically saying, don't give to any GoFundMe pages, because they have not authorized anybody to set up a GoFundMe page. And so they caught a lot of flack when they did that video, because people were saying, oh, you're trying to capitalize on your daughter being missing. And they, then came back and issued a statement saying, no, we're not trying to capitalize. We're trying to keep people from being scammed, to let you know, like, there are people feel helpless in situations like this, and they want to do something. They want to assist, the family. They just want to be able to help, even if that money is used to make flyers to put out around, the town or around the area. If it's to buy water for volunteers that go out in search of their daughter, that money is what it will be used for. And actually, there is a reward out, and last I checked, it was up to $100,000. And so the family is just basically saying, you don't have to give to this PayPal account, but if you just want to do something, you want to give to the PayPal account. Don't give to GoFundMe. We're just trying to keep people from scamming off of this tragedy that's happened in our family. So on October 30th, Alabama Governor Key Ivey announced a $5,000 reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction of people involved with the disappearance of Aniah. And he was quoted as saying, we are following this case closely, and I remain engaged with law enforcement on the state and local levels. I am issuing this reward to help encourage those with information to come forward. We continue to pray for Aniah and her family as law enforcement officials work to bring her home. And that was from Governor Ivey, the governor of Alabama. And then UFC President Dana White, he's the guy that's over I can't think of what the C stands for, but I think it's Ultimate Fight Ultimate Fight Champions or something like that, but Dana White is the one that's over this organization, and he offered $25,000 to go towards the reward for information about her. And then just as I previously stated, last I checked, the reward was up to $100,000. So if you have information, please contact the police department. And so then on October 31st, this story came out. It says Auburn police announced Thursday they have reason to believe that 19-year-old Aniah has been harmed. The Auburn Police Division shared the statement on their website. And so if you go to their website, it says the Auburn Police Division continues to diligently investigate the disappearance of Aniah Haley Blanchard, who was reported missing by her family on October 24th, 2019. In that effort, Auburn and Montgomery police, as well as 9 other local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies working on this case, are operating as a task force. Evidence from within Aniah Blanchard's vehicle recovered in Montgomery was examined by the Alabama Department of Forensic Sciences and has now determined that she was harmed and is considered to be a victim of foul play. I get emotional about this because I have a 26-year-old daughter that doesn't get it. That doesn't get that there are people out there that are willing to harm you. And I'm always on her about, let me know where you're going. Let me know where you're going to be. Let me know when you get to where you're going. Don't just go out here meeting random people that you met on the interstate. Let people know who this person is, where you met this person, what their social media is. Like, just don't be going through life blindly. And I don't know, it just irks my soul that she does that, but she continues to do it. So all I can do is pray for her that, God is watching over her and protecting her when she is out here, having fun and living her life. And so the statement goes on to say the Auburn Police Division and Montgomery Police Department are still requesting assistance from the public regarding any information on the location of Aniah and her vehicle between Wednesday, October 23rd, 2019 and today. And then it says the police division was notified yesterday that Governor Key Ivey has authorized a $5,000 reward. And then it goes on to talk about Dana White making an offer of $25,000. And then it says another $5,000 from an anonymous source for information leads to the arrest, conviction, and they have definitely surpassed that amount as the days have gone on. On Friday, November 1st, Auburn Police Chief Paul Register on Friday spoke to NBC News about the search for 19-year-old Aniah Blanchard. More than $100,000 is now being offered for information about her disappearance. Anyone with information is urged to call the Auburn Police Detectives at 334-501-3140. The anonymous tip line is 334-246-1391 or the 24-hour non-emergency number at 334-501-3100. That was the latest, and I missed a clip in here somewhere because there was an article that I read that stated that when she left out on the 23rd, she was actually going to meet some guy that she met. And so I'm sure, the investigation, they're trying to uncover who this guy was, what his name. They're probably checking her social media to find out who this person is that she went to meet. But just a overall sad situation that this girl just disappeared, into thin air. I'm assuming that there's blood, sign of a struggle inside of her vehicle that they've recovered. And so I guess right now it's probably more of a search and rescue than finding a missing person. And actually, let me go online real quick while I have you guys to see if there have been any updates. There's no update, so they're still searching for her. And I'll put that contact information, those phone numbers, if you are watching this video and in the Alabama area and have information pertaining to this case, where you can get in touch with law enforcement officers. So as I stated, when I initially started working on this video, it was to talk about, little kids that are being abducted and murdered, and the people who are killing these kids. And the reason I wanted to do this video is because I was up late one night a few weeks ago, and the TV was on, but I wasn't really watching it. And then I look over, and it was on ABC Nightline, and they were doing a story, and they were saying that 19 transgender people, I guess guys who are dressing as women, have been murdered in 2019. And so they were doing this story featuring the people that were killed, and they were calling it a national epidemic. And it kind of pissed me off because I'm like, do you know how many black women, and it was about black transgenders. And so it's like, do you know how many black women, how many black girls, how many black children are killed annually? Like annually, over 7,000 women are murdered every year. Like women of all races are murdered, and they're usually murdered by domestic partners. And so with the transgender story, it was basically the same thing. They were either murdered by people that they knew, people they were involved with. They were murdered by people who thought they were women and found out that it was a man. Some of them, were involved in prostitution. Some of them were homeless. Some of them, were on drugs. And so they did that story. I mean, like the whole episode was on that. And then I'm thinking, when are you going to do an episode on these little kids that are being murdered? And I think that, this is at epidemic proportions. And so I found this study. I was trying to get some current information, but the earliest information I could find, it says 2006 child abduction murder study. And it says in late 1993, the Criminal Division of the Washington State Attorney General's Office undertook a 3.5-year research project, partially funded by the U.S. Department of Justice, Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, to study and investigate the child abduction murder cases. And it says in this first research project, published in 1997, researchers reviewed more than 600 child abduction murder cases across the United States, then interviewed the investigating detectives. The data provided law enforcement valuable insight into what investigative techniques tend to be most productive. And it says now the Attorney General's office has released a follow-up study including 175 additional solved cases. The additional cases generally reflect and support the findings in the original report, with several significant and definite differences. With more killers identified, researchers found that the killer will be a friend or acquaintance and is nearly equal to that of a stranger. So basically, the chances of your child being abducted and murdered by a stranger is equal to them actually being abducted and murdered by someone that you know. And it says the probability that the killer's name will come up during the first week of the investigation has decreased. The use of pornography by killers as a trigger to murder has increased. And the key findings were, in 74% of the missing children homicide cases studied, the child murder victim was female and the average age was 11. In 44% of the cases studied, the victims and killers were strangers, but in 42% of the cases, the victims and killers were friends or acquaintances. only about 14% of the cases studied involved parents or intimate killings of children. Um, Studied involved parents or intimates killing the child. And so almost 2/3 of the killers in the cases have prior arrests for violent crimes, with slightly more than half of those prior crimes committed against children. So if you're out there dating and you meet some guy, you need to find out, first of all, if he has a violent history and is going to kick your behind. And then you also need to find out if he or she, because when I get into these 4 stories about these black girls, women are involved. And so you also need to find out if they have any previous cases involving children. And so one thing that I tell people all the time when they're sharing stories is like, number one, don't leave your kids with people, regardless if you know them a long time or short time, whether they're related to you or not related to you, whether you're in a relationship with them or not in a relationship, until you know several things about them. And this goes for any relationship, not even with your children, but for your own safety. Don't trust people 100% until you, it's like, don't marry a person, don't move in with a person, don't have people around your children that you have never seen at their happiest or at their saddest, that you've never seen them at their highest or their lowest, that you have never seen them when they have experienced something that has made them angry, when they have experienced something that has made them sad, when they have experienced something that, you know, just truly makes them go off the deep end. Like, you want to experience the full spectrum of people before you make these long-term decisions with them. And so as you're dating people, like, if you haven't like seen, you know, like emotional changes in a person, if a person like is always happy, you know, be leery of people that are always happy, because nobody is happy all the time. And my kids will tell you, like, people be talking about, oh, your mom's so nice, your mom is this, and they're like, you ain't seen my mama at her worst, because my mama can go from 0 to 100 in like 1.1 second. Okay. And so, you know, get to know people. And I know a lot of women get caught up, you know, where guys are really nice and they seem really caring and they are giving and engaging. And then when they get in a relationship with, like a real relationship with this fool, or they let this person move in with them, then they start seeing, you know, the ugly side, the, you know, what makes them angry, what makes them depressed. They become more judgmental. And so I think as parents, we just have to be more observant of the people that we are allowing into our lives and allowing into the lives of our children. And you definitely do not want to leave your children in the care of somebody that you don't know how they're going to react if your child starts crying or acting out or being bad, or, you know, just not paying attention to this person. And then you also want to watch your child as they interact with that person. Or like if you get ready to go in the kitchen and your little girl keep getting up going in the kitchen with you because like her favorite movie is on the TV, but if you leave that room, she leaves that room with you. Those are signs that something may be going on with this person. They may be yelling at your child, you know, when you're not in their presence, or they may be hitting your child. Like, you just never know. So as parents, we have to be more observant. We need to talk to our kids. We need to, I know my kids, when I would pick them up from school, I get off from work, come home, or if I had to pick them up from daycare or whatever, it was 21 questions in that car. My kids to this day talk about how, like, when they would get home from school, they were like, oh, here she comes. Because I want to know, how was your day? Did you get in any trouble? Was anybody mean to you? Did anything happen with your friends in school? Was the teacher nice to you? What was your homework assignment? What did y'all do on the playground? Did you get hurt at the playground? Was anybody bullying you at the playground? What was the best thing that happened to you today? What was the worst thing that happened to you? Like, every single day, these were the questions that I was asking my kids when we got in the car. We had conversations. And so, you know, it doesn't mean that your child isn't keeping something from you, or maybe hiding something, because my kids probably would think, like, if I told my mama such and such happened, she would be that parent, that we now see on social media that goes straight the hell off. So, but talk to your kids, find out what is actually happening in your kids' life and what is going on with them. And so the study goes on to say that the primary motive of child abduction killer in the cases studied was sexual assault. They're abducting these kids to rape them. And then it says in nearly 60% of the cases studied, more than 2 hours passed between the time someone realized the child was missing and the time that the police was notified. So valuable time is being lost. And so it says in 76% of the missing children homicide cases studied, the child was dead within 3 hours of the abduction, and in 88.5% of the cases, the child was dead within 24 hours. So that's kind of confusing. And so I guess they're saying in the remaining 24%, 88.5% of those, the child was killed within 24 hours. So it says key recommendations to protect children. Be aware that children are not immune from abduction because they are close to home. More than half of the studies abductions took place within 3 city blocks of the victim's home. So these are people that are lurking in your neighborhood. So you need to be mindful and paying attention of surroundings. When kids are going to the bus stop in the morning, pay attention. Like if the parent is going to work, the children are going to the bus stop by themselves. And if you're the person that's at home, pay attention. See if you notice a person who doesn't live on your street, but they're always on your street at 8 o'clock in the morning. Pay attention to cars. I know, like where I live at, there is a crossing guard like a block away from the street that I live on. And so people don't want to get stopped by the crossing guard, or people don't want to get stopped in the school zone where traffic has to slow down to 15 miles per hour. So they'll turn and cut down our street, go down and then turn, so that they miss the crossing guard. They miss the where it slows down the school zone. And so, like, pay attention to people like that. Are they really trying to avoid the crossing guard, or are they turning down that way so that they're not noticed by the crossing guard? Or maybe they know there's a camera somewhere, and so they're trying to avoid being on that camera. So just be very observant. And it says, be certain that your children are supervised, even if they are in their own front yard or neighborhood street. Pay attention. Approximately 1/3 of the abductions studied occurred within 1/2 block of the victim's home. It says, teach your children not to ever approach a car, whether the occupant is a stranger or not. No matter what the occupant tells them or asks them, stay on the sidewalk, don't walk to the street and approach the car. And then it says, be aware of strangers and unusual behavior in your neighborhoods. Many child abductions are witnessed by people who do not realize that a crime is being committed. If your child is ever missing, call police immediately. Like, they would rather you call and then your child walk in the house 10 minutes later than for you to wait 2 hours and call, and now they've lost 2 hours in trying to find where your child is. Because remember, they say that the children are usually killed within 3 hours of being abducted. And then it says, an immediate response to a missing or abducted child may be the difference between life and death. Now let's go ahead and talk about these 4 little black girls. So the first person we're going to talk about, her name is Nalani Johnson. So Alani Johnson was killed, I think, back in September. And so when I was talking about this story, so some of this may seem like past tense, but it says an autopsy is expected to be performed Wednesday on the 23-month-old girl who was reportedly abducted in Pennsylvania over the weekend and later found dead, a district attorney said. Nalani Johnson was reportedly taken Saturday. Her body was found Tuesday in a Pennsylvania park. Authorities hope that an autopsy can provide some clues about what happened to the toddler in between. It says, quote, until we have some information regarding the cause and manner of death, we really can't give you much at this point. Indiana County District attorney Patrick Daughtry said at a news conference Tuesday. And then it says Nalani's father, Paul Johnson, says that a woman he was involved with drove off with his daughter Saturday after an argument, according to a criminal complaint filed by Allegheny County Police. The woman, Sharina Nancy, has been charged with the kidnapping of a minor, interference with custody of children, and concealment of the whereabouts of a child. Nancy, 25 years old, is being held without bail at the Allegheny County Jail, and her preliminary hearing was scheduled for September 16th. According to the father, Johnson and Nancy were at the start of an intermittent romantic relationship that began over social media a few months prior to the incident. Johnson said that he, his daughter, and a friend spent several hours with Nancy the day of Nalani was reportedly abducted, according to the criminal complaint. Nancy was driving them all in a car when an argument ensued. Johnson said he got out of the car, but when he went to get his daughter from the car seat, Nancy drove off with her. Johnson told detectives he tried calling Nancy's cell phone multiple times, but she never picked up. So he called 911 around 5 p.m. Eastern, the complaint said. Police stopped Nancy's car around 7:30 p.m. but did not find Nalani inside. According to the complaint, Nancy was arrested during that stop. So let's go back up. He called police at 5 o'clock. It doesn't say what time they were actually in the car and all of this arguing took place. Okay, so it says that Johnson told police that the car Nancy was driving had Uber and Lyft stickers on it. Representatives of Uber did not immediately respond to CNN's request for comment. Then it says Dana Davis, a communications manager for Lyft, told CNN that while this incident did not happen on the Lyft platform, they have banned Nancy from driving with Lyft, adding that the allegations were, quote, deeply disturbing. And so when they talked to the Nancy lady, her version of events detailed in the complaint differ from Johnson's. She told authorities that Johnson sold the little girl for $10,000 and that she was completing the drop-off. Johnson showed her a picture of a black woman she was supposed to meet about 20 minutes from a gas station in Monroeville, U.S. Route 22 with Nalani. Nancy told detectives the complaint said that she encountered a silver SUV with out-of-state license plates parked on the side of the road and did as she had been instructed, passing the toddler and the car seat over to a woman standing next to the car and then driving off. Nancy told police she saw a second woman inside the SUV. Nancy also said she drove around, smoked cigarettes, and talked on the phone with her husband. And then it goes on to say McDonald said Tuesday they have no evidence to corroborate Nancy's version of events, adding that Johnson and his family have been cooperative with the ongoing investigation. So then in another story, it says that the mother of Nalani Johnson filed for protection from abuse order from the girl's father, Paul Johnson, earlier in the year. And it says KDKA's Megan Schiller has confirmed through court paperwork that Nalani's mother, Gladys Duarte, filed a temporary PFA on April 15, 2019. In the PFA paperwork, Duarte alleges Johnson threatened to harm her and allegedly, quote, admitted to almost killing Nalani. It lists the girl as a protected person. In the petition, the mother of Nalani Johnson alleges that the little girl's father, Paul Johnson, 1, tampered with her car, causing an accident, 2, ripped her clothes off the walls, cleaned out her fridge, stole her shoes and Xbox, 3, held a gun up to his head, threatening to kill himself while the little girl was in the backseat, 4, admitted to almost killing Nalani. 5, threatened to kill the mother and, quote, anyone I was with. 6, pulled a gun on the mother's sister who was trying to protect the mother and little girl from him. And so the petition also alleges the toddler's father, Paul Johnson, pulled a gun on the mother's sister. Court records confirmed that Duarte was scheduled to appear in court on April 30th to finalize the protective order, but did not show up. So the temporary protective order then expired. So here was a mother that is alleging that this man was abusive to her daughter, had threatened to kill himself, threatened to kill her, but then she fails to show up for the hearing that would have made the protective order final. And then, so April 30th, she was supposed to show up. So May, June, July, August, September. So 4.5, 5 months later, I guess they're back in some kind of cordial relationship where she trusts the father with the little girl. He takes the little girl, and now some crazy ass woman that he was dealing with has disappeared with the child, and now the child has been found dead. And I believe in a follow-up story that the autopsy did come back about a week or two ago, and it said that the little girl died from suffocation. They don't seem to think at this point that the father had anything to do with her murder. They're not buying the story that the Nancy lady is giving, that he was selling the little girl for $10,000. I think that it would have been very stupid of him to do that, because if he didn't return home with the little girl, then the mother was going to be looking at him crazy, and then this thing about the protective order would have came in play, and then he would have been the suspect and the one that's in jail. And so this just goes to show, like, here's a woman obsessed with this man for whatever reason and got upset and killed his daughter for no apparent reason. So then the next little black girl that we're going to talk about is Navaeh Adams. So the story behind this, Cherie Bradley was found dead in her Sumter apartment, and her 5-year-old daughter, Navaeh Adams, was nowhere to be found. So police now believe that she was killed also, and that Dante Maurice Johnson is responsible. And I'm reading you the original stories. All of these girls' bodies have been found, and people have been arrested in the cases. So it says an investigation into the disappearance of 5-year-old South Carolina girl Navaeh Adams has tragically turned into a body recovery effort after police announced that a man already suspected of murder in another state confessed to killing Adams and her mother. Police began frantically searching for Adams after police were called Monday to the Sumter apartment where she and her mother, Cherie Bradley, lived. A family member found Bradley, 29, dead inside the home, according to the Sumter Police Department. Transient Duarte Maurice Johnson, 28, was allegedly spotted fleeing the location, according to police, who tracked him down at a residence in a nearby neighborhood. While speaking to police, he allegedly made a grim confession. Quote, during the course of the interview, Johnson said he killed Bradley, with whom he was acquainted, and her daughter. He also provided information that could help police locate her. And so it says it's believed Adams' body was placed in a dumpster, according to local news outlet WACH. Now police are trying to find that child's body. They think, based upon a preliminary investigation by the Sumter County Coroner's Office, that Adams was killed around the same time as her mother, a few hours before Bradley was discovered. Quote, finding this little girl is first and foremost, and we have and will continue to use every resource available to make that happen. Sumter Police Chief Russell Rourke said, our prayers are with the family, and we will continue to assist them through this tragic ordeal. Johnson is also a murder suspect in a separate Missouri case. His first appearance hearing is pending. It's not yet clear if he has a lawyer who can speak on his behalf at this time. And then in another article, a later article, it says police in Sumter broke the devastating news Tuesday that missing 5-year-old Navaeh Adams has been found. Her body was found, confirming her family's worst nightmare. And it says police believe 28-year-old Dante Johnson stabbed the child to death and put her body in a dumpster back in August. Investigators immediately went to area landfills and tracked down garbage trucks that may have transported trash from dumpsters in the area. Police have been searching the Richland landfill for Navaeh's body off and on for about 2 months. It was a daunting task that could not have been accomplished by one agency, Robinson said. Robinson said his crews were allowed into the site on September 16. He said it took 2 weeks to build and prepare the search site for the landfill. Tri-County Electric Cooperative had to install an electrical grid, and South Carolina Department of Transportation had to install roads to get crews in and out. So this guy almost, like if he hadn't confessed, he pretty much would have gotten away with this little girl's murder. And it says a hole was dug into the ground and the landfill and the items were laid out on a special search pad that was 6 inches thick. More than 400 searchers from 40 different state and local agencies began shifting through almost 4 million pounds of material. Forensic experts were brought to the scene to analyze what was found. Each night, the site had to be covered with a white tarp to protect it. In all, crews searched for 25 days at the landfill. Rourke said he hopes it gives the family and the community some closure. And it says crews were recently sent back to the site on Screaming Eagle Road. On Friday, October 18th, police discovered human remains. Those remains were DNA tested and determined to be little Navaeh. Body of missing 5-year-old Navaeh Adams found in South Carolina landfill months after her mother's murder. Back in August, when Navaeh disappeared, the body of her mother, Sheree Bradley, was found by a family member in her apartment. Bradley had been stabbed to death. Police already charged Dante Johnson with both Bradley and Navaeh's murders. Even before finding the child's body, investigators said they had evidence suggesting she was dead. Navaeh's family desperately wanted to hold on to hope she was alive. Now that her remains were found, her father, Dupre Adams, said he is sad and didn't get to see her one last time. He's trying to hold on to his happy memories. And then he's quoted as saying, "When she was with me, she didn't have a dull day. Every video that I have, every picture that I have, she was happy." And then it goes on to talk about the 2,500 tons of trash. And it says, as long as she was missing, wondering what she was going through, what she was thinking, he says that he wants to talk to the killer to ask him why did he kill this little girl. And so a funeral is going to take place in November. He goes on to say that she was playful and energetic, and talk about the videos that he has, that she loved him, that she loved gymnastics, tap dancing, she loved YouTube, and said that she was simply a child that needed a champion. And then it says it was Bradley's 12-year-old son who told law enforcement that his little sister Navaeh was missing. Shortly after officers realized she was missing, Johnson was arrested on Susie Rimber Street, about a block from the apartment complex. And then Johnson has a criminal history that dates back 10 years that includes both Missouri and Charlotte, North Carolina. When he was arrested, officers said he was driving a stolen car that he took from Aaliyah Stanley of Missouri. The warrant also states that Johnson shot and killed Stanley out in Missouri, stole her vehicle, and traveled to Sumter. They say he was attempting to sell it in the area. Johnson remains behind bars at the Sumter County Detention Center. Just crazy as hell. like what is wrong with people? So he's 29 years old and he's just going around killing people. So he done killed 2 young women and killed this little girl. All for what? Like, it doesn't even give a motive as to why he killed them. Just crazy. Like, I don't know if he was on drugs. When I was reading up on this story, I guess, I don't know what the deal was with the mother and the father. Like, maybe he felt she wasn't a good mother. We don't know. She's dead now. You know, may she rest in peace, and may little Navaeh rest in peace. But just a reminder, you have to be careful about the people, even more so today than before, of the people that you're bringing into your life, because not only are you bringing that person into your life, but you're also bringing their baggage, their past, and their deviant behavior. So the next story is Maleah Davis. So this happened back in August. It says the former fiance of Maleah Davis's mother was charged Monday with causing injuries to the 4-year-old Houston girl whose disappearance and gruesome death garnered nationwide attention. It says that the charge of injury to a child causing serious bodily harm comes more than 3 months after Maleah was reported missing and after prosecutors received the results of her autopsy from the Harris County Institute of Forensic Sciences. The medical examiner's office declined to release the results of the autopsy because the investigation into her death is ongoing. According to court documents, Darion Vince could have harmed little Maleah in a variety of ways. Prosecutors said in a probable cause document that Vince could have hit the child with his hand or a blunt object while the 27-year-old was tasked with caring for the girl. Maleah's mother was away in Massachusetts, and I think she had gone to attend a funeral. And so Maleah could have also fallen to the floor at their Leaf area apartment and hit another unspecified blunt object. Police have also alleged in the charging document that Vince failed to provide proper medical care to her. And so this guy, like, her death could have been an accident. But because he was so afraid, he created this whole scenario where he went and dumped her body in a whole nother state, caused this national manhunt, to be underway when all he had to do was to come forward and to tell the truth. After a review of all of the evidence, including the autopsy reports, prosecutors determined there was sufficient evidence to charge Vince with intentionally and knowingly causing seriously bodily injury to a child younger than 15 years of age. Vince's defense attorney, Dorian Kotler, issued a statement Monday afternoon that the new charges was based where the evidence led District Attorney Kim Ogg and her prosecutors. Quote, she has not made a decision based on public rage or television media sensationalism. She and her assistants are doing their job, and we will continue to do ours. The latest felony charge can carry the same punishment as murder, landing Vince anywhere from 5 to 99 years in prison should he be convicted. The charge is in addition to the tampering with the human corpse offense that led to Vince's May 11th arrest that followed her disappearance. He reported her missing from Sugar Land Hospital May 4th by claiming that she was abducted by 3 men who attacked him on the side of the road near Bush Intercontinental Airport. Maleah's disappearance sparked a citywide search that intensified as authorities began to unravel Vince's version of what happened. Court documents show investigators found blood believed to be Maleah's in the apartment where Vince was caught on surveillance footage on May 3rd carrying a heavy laundry basket. The same apartment is where investigators found evidence that someone tried to clean up the blood. Vince was arrested on May 11th with the tampering charge, and grand jury upheld the offense with an indictment last month. While in custody at the Harris County Jail, Vince allegedly told fellow inmate David Chalfant and days later activist Cornell X that Maleah's body could be found in a trash bag on the side of the road near Hope, Arkansas. Authorities found her remains along a highway hours after the bag was hit by a lawnmower. And that's the part that kills me about this. It's bad enough that you abducted this person, well, you killed this person's child, but then you just discard of the body like it's garbage, like it's nothing, like it didn't once, like hours earlier, there wasn't a vibrant, lively child with their future ahead of them playing and growing and learning. And for whatever demented reason you felt the need to snuff their life out, you then add insult to injury by discarding them in just such a despicable way. So Cornell said that Vince told him he felt overwhelmed because he took care of Maleah and his other kids most of the time, and Maleah's mother, his fiance, Brittany Bowens, wasn't there to help. So he's basically saying that Brittany had these kids, he had kids, and they just dumped the kids on him, I guess because he didn't have a job or something, and he was the one that was forced to be the caregiver where he wasn't mentally stable enough to do that. And so also according to Cornell, Vince said around the time Bowens left town to attend her father's funeral, she called home and they got into an argument, and she accused him of being gay, which Cornell said set Vince off. So Darian snapped, and I believed he punched that child in the head because that's what he had done before, Cornell told ABC 13 anchor Chauncey Glover. Now that to me says that she knew that this man was abusing her child, and for whatever reason she thought it was okay to leave him there. And if she felt that he was gay because she had found this information out about him, why would she then accuse him when she's not even in the state but has left her child with him? Like, that makes no sense to me. And so it says the mother admitted to me that he had done it before. He was angry with Brittany, and he was very agitated with Brittany about discovering him sending these pictures of his private parts to another man, and she calling him gay and saying that she was giving a ring back to him, and that drove him over the edge. Cornell said that Vince told him he put Maleah's body in a trash bag, put the trash back in the trunk of his car, and then drove to Arkansas and dumped the body in the wooded area. In a jailhouse interview, Chalfant, who has since been transferred to a state corrections facility in Huntsville, said that Vince also revealed to him how Maleah was hurt. Vince and the girl were playing when she fell and hit her head on the table, the inmate said. Vince remains in custody and is slated to return to court to face the new charge. Then in an August 12th article, it says emotions ran high in a Texas courtroom Wednesday as the family of slain girl Maleah Davis voiced frustration with the fact that the sole suspect in the case hasn't been charged with murder. Prosecutors announced new charges against Darian Vince, 28, on Monday, charging him with causing injury to a child, serious bodily injury. Vince was scheduled to appear in court on the new charge Wednesday, but his hearing was reset. Court documents show that authorities believe Darian Vince struck Maleah Davis with his hand and blunt object before her death and didn't seek medical attention for her. After a review of the evidence, including autopsy results for the 4-year-old, Harris County District Attorney Kim Hogg said that prosecutors determined there was sufficient evidence to charge the suspect with, quote, intentionally and knowingly causing serious bodily injury to a child younger than 15 years of age. End quote. Court documents show that Vince, the ex-fiance of David's mother, Brittany Bowens, had struck the girl with his hand at a blunt object before her death. He did not seek medical treatment for her. The new charges come just weeks after a grand jury indicted the Houston man on a previous charge of tampering with evidence, namely a corpse. Maleah's relatives on her biological father's side showed up hoping to see Vince in court Wednesday. Tamisha Mendoza, a cousin, said the family is angry that prosecutors still haven't charged him with murder. You left her in the apartment for however many days until you figured out how to move my little cousin and then throw her on the side of the highway like she was nothing but trash. You knew what you were doing. That was murder, period, murder. The frustrated family member says she believes Maleah's mother, Brittany Bowen, should also face charges in her death as well. We need answers. We deserve answers. Maleah deserves justice, and right now she's not getting that. The 4-year-old's body was discovered along a busy highway in Arkansas on May 31st, nearly a month after Vince reported her missing. At the time, Vince told police that he has a 1-year-old son and Davis was abducted in an alleged carjacking by 3 Hispanic men. He claimed he was knocked unconscious during the assault and woke to find his car and the little girl gone. He later confessed to dumping the child's body on the side of the road in a jailhouse meeting with local activist Quanell X, which led investigators to Davis's remains. Quanell told reporters that Vince described Maleah's death as an accident but didn't reveal how it happened. If convicted on the injury to a child charge, Vince could face life in prison. His previous charge of tampering with evidence is a second-degree felony that carries a penalty of 2 to 20 years in prison. Authorities said more charges are possible as they continue investigating. A spokesperson for the Harris County District Attorney's Office told KTRK that a murder charge carries the same penalty of life in prison. However, prosecutors would have to prove Vince intentionally killed Davis. Bowens, who reportedly was out of town when her daughter disappeared, reacted to the new charges against Vince, saying, "It's not fair to Maleah. At this point, I want to know what happened to my daughter. The fact that he went through great extent to cover himself is unbelievable," she added. "It's not enough. These charges are not enough, but I have faith justice will prevail. Maleah, we love you forever." So guys, what do you think about the mother knowing that this man had previously abused her child but continued to stay with him? The abuse of her child wasn't enough to make her leave him, but then she finds these pictures that he sent allegedly to another man, and then all of a sudden she's so offended that she has to end the relationship. But then you confront the man over the phone when you are on the other side of the country, knowing that he has abusive tendencies. So do you think that Maleah's mother bears some responsibility in what happened to her child? And do you think that she should be charged as well with some form of neglect in what led up to happening to her daughter? And then the part about the murder case, I think that the prosecutors will have a really hard time proving a murder case in this instance, because you have him telling Quanell X and you have him telling the guy who was in the cell with him that it was an accident. He told the inmate that they were playing, she fell, she hit her head on the table, and so the story is consistent with the injury that she received. And I believe that the prosecutors are holding off until they can prove definitively that that's how she died, because you don't want to take this to court and then the jury say, you know what, it was a horrible mistake that he accidentally killed her. And then when it comes to the other charges that, although they cover life in prison, they empathize with this man, and then give him the minimum sentence opposed to the maximum sentence, and then have them feeling some kind of way about the mother for even allowing her child to be in that situation. So leave your comments below and let me know what you think about that situation. And then in my fourth little black girl story, it is Kamille Cupcake McKinney. And so this was a case where a young girl she's 3 years old, and she was unsupervised, from what I can gather, at a birthday party that she wasn't invited to. And there was video footage on Facebook showing the mother out playing with her earlier in that day. But at some point, I guess the mother went into the house and laid down or something. Kamille left and went to this birthday party, and she was abducted from this birthday party. And when I get to the end of the story, I'm actually going to read a social media post from the person who was hosting that birthday party. And so it says, this article is from October 24th, and it says, for 10 days, the city of Birmingham, Alabama, had hoped that 3-year-old Kamille McKinney, who was abducted from a birthday party earlier this month, would be safely returned to her family. Hope was the prevailing emotion among investigators as they tirelessly tracked down leads about Camille's whereabouts after she was reported missing on October 12th. City and state leaders were hopeful that appeals to the public and generous rewards would turn up critical tips. Meanwhile, Camille's family hoped that they would once again get to hold the little girl affectionately nicknamed Cupcake. It's something that affects not just one community, one part of town, Birmingham Police Chief Patrick D. Smith said at a news conference last week. I think everyone wants to see this young baby found and back home. But on Tuesday night, the hope that had fueled the day-long search for Kamille was replaced by grief. Human remains believed to be Camille's were found in a dumpster at a landfill in Birmingham, Smith said at a news conference, a grim development in an abduction that has captivated the city of more than 200,000 and made national headlines. On Thursday, authorities charged 2 people with capital murder of a victim under the age of 14 years. Locating the remains were the last pieces of the puzzle investigators needed to bring charges against Patrick Devon Stallworth, 39, and his girlfriend, Derek Arisha Brown, 29. Smith said the pair was arrested on unrelated charges shortly after Kamille went missing and questioned about the child. Brown was still in jail Tuesday, and Stallworth, who posted bond, was taken into custody again. We believe that this was something that they thought about and acted upon. They saw an opportunity to take a child, which they did. Further investigation will reveal what action happened after that. The defendants will be held without bond, the Jefferson County District Attorney announced Thursday. Attorneys for Stallworth and Brown did not respond to requests for comment early Wednesday, but have previously said their clients are innocent. Emery Anthony, Stallworth's attorney, told the AP on Associated Press on Friday that his client has an alibi for the time of the alleged kidnapping. A public defender whose Adam Daneman, a public defender whose office is representing Brown, says she was horrified by Camille's disappearance, but adamantly denies knowing anything about the abduction. Tuesday's news was met with outpouring of support from the community, including leaders such as Birmingham Mayor Randall Woodfin and Alabama Governor Kay Ivey. And this mayor, the Randall Woodfin guy, I watched that press conference, and it took everything in him to fight back the tears. You can tell that he was emotionally distraught over what happened. And so he says, our entire city is mourning. Kamille is gone, ripped away from her family. The pain her family is enduring is unimaginable. In a statement shared on Twitter, Ivy offered her heartfelt condolences to the young girl's loved ones. The heart of our state is broken, but our resolve must be to do everything we can to avoid this tragedy from happening to another family, she tweeted. Our prayers are with Kamille's family and all who have been touched by this nightmare. Given the tragic news that is breaking this evening, I offer my heartfelt condolences to Kamille's family and profound thanks to law enforcement and all the volunteers who have worked tirelessly in search of this precious little girl. The heart of our state is broken, but our resolve must be to do everything we can to avoid this tragedy from happening to another family. Kamille was last seen about 8:30 p.m. on October 12th at a public housing community in Birmingham where she and her relatives had gathered to celebrate a birthday. The youngster, dressed in a pink t-shirt with a Minnie Mouse design and leopard print shorts, was playing outside with another child when a man suddenly approached, according to surveillance video released by police last week. And we already know that the person that was hosting the party, I'm going to read that statement later, said that that Kamille was not invited to her party. She just showed up. She tried to watch her as best she could, but at no point did Kamille's mother ever come to check on her. So it says the man, who appeared to walk with a slight limp, briefly paused in front of the two children before moving along, the video showed. As he disappeared from the camera's view, the children scampered behind him. Moments later, Kamille was gone. Video surveillance of two men who may have information that could help us locate Cupcake. The video was recovered from a surveillance camera within the Tom Brown housing complex at about the same time as Kamille McKinney was reportedly missing. If you are one of the people in the video, we need your help with the investigation. Please call the Birmingham Police Department at 205-254-7777. Children attending the party said that they saw the man get out of a sport utility vehicle and put Kamille in the car, prompting police to launch a search for the suspect and vehicle, later described as a dark-colored Toyota Sequoia with a beige trim. Almost exactly 24 hours after Kamille was allegedly taken, authorities made their first breakthrough in the case. Residents reported seeing a car that matched the police's description outside a condominium not far from where the girl was abducted. Smith told reporters on Tuesday that the tip about the SUV was just one of the clues that led investigators to Stallworth and Brown. Stallworth was detained on child pornography charges, which were not related to the alleged abduction, while Brown was arrested for an unrelated kidnapping. As police continued their investigation, which included questioning the couple and canvassing the city, Kamille's family was also out looking. Dominic McKinney, the girl's father, told reporters on October 13th that he wasn't going to get any sleep. I've been out all night. I looked through everything around here, every empty school, every abandoned building, and I won't stop. McKinney later added, they could have took her to Jupiter. We're going to find her. The urgent search efforts, however, weren't turning up much. Large rewards for information was announced and countless tips were called in, but nothing was leading to Kamille, Smith told reporters at a news conference early last week. On October 16th, Smith changed his tactics, delivering a direct appeal to people he believed had information about Kamille. If you know where Kamille is, if you have her and you're not sure what to do, I want to just talk to you for a second. If you don't know, it says, I want to give you safe passage. If you don't know what to do or where to go, or you're frightened, we're here to help you. By Friday, almost a week after Kamille's disappearance, Smith told reporters he was still hopeful that the child could be found. In my heart, I believe she is in and around the area, and we're hoping to bring her home safely. Smith was right. Kamille probably never left Birmingham. The girl's remains were found in a dumpster, which was later moved to a landfill that had been parked near the apartment complex where the SUV was located. Smith said Tuesday nothing Smith said Tuesday, noting that police had been searching through trash from a specific area of the city. We can no longer assume that everyone is a part of the village that is trying to raise the child, he said. The young child has touched the nation. The young child has definitely sent a message across the nation that we all must be diligent to protect all children. Wednesday afternoon, city officials held a visual outside Birmingham City Hall cast in purple light, Kamille's favorite color. Area news stations reported it was one of many events planned for the coming days. Speaking at the vigil, Smith called Birmingham a changed city, saying that perhaps we were a little bit too carefree. Maybe there's more that we could have done to watch over this little child. Faith leaders called for anger and grief to be channeled toward a fight for justice and pledged to keep Kamille's memory alive. A little innocent 3-year-old girl was ripped from her family too soon, and her absence, make no doubt about it, will leave a hole in the hearts of this city, the mayor said outside of the City Hall event. We will never forget her name. A 3-year-old girl was found dead in a dumpster in Alabama, died of asphyxiation. It was revealed in court on Friday, so they determined that she was asphyxiated. And then it says that the remains of 3-year-old Kamille Cupcake McKinney was discovered Tuesday in a landfill not far from where the girl was abducted. At the arraignment for the 2 suspects on Friday, a judge read warrants that included McKinney's cause of death, according to ABC affiliate WBMA. Patrick Stallworth, 39, and Derek Orisha Brown, 29, had been charged with capital murder of a victim less than 14 years of age. During the arraignment on Friday, Stallworth asked the judge why he was being charged with murder, and the judge responded that he would learn more at the preliminary hearing, according to reporters. Stallworth said that he would be hiring his own attorney, while Brown would be using a public defender who were previously appointed to her for an unrelated matter. Stallworth and Brown were initially named persons of interest in Kamille's disappearance, and they were both arrested last week on unrelated charges. Stallworth was arrested on foreign charges, and Brown was jailed for violating probation conditions on a previous kidnapping charge. And then the suspects in Kamille's death, they're actually scheduled, I think, to appear in court tomorrow, where they'll get to answer the charges. And so I'll try and find video footage of that and bring you guys an update on what happens at that hearing. And I don't have the name of the person who was hosting the party. This was a comment, a screenshot of some comments that were found on social media, where she was responding under a video where Kamille's mom had actually done a press conference. And I thought it was interesting that the mother did a press conference and the father did a press conference. So I don't know what their relationship is, but obviously they don't have a good relationship because they didn't come together in the time of their child's death and do this press conference together. So it says, people know they can flip some shit and make it, okay, remember these people, social media, they don't always go back and proofread. So it says, people know they can flip some shit and make it, I think she meant to say what it isn't or never were. That baby was unattended for hours at a party where she didn't know anyone, nor was with anyone. Don't get me wrong, it was a lot of kids came from out of nowhere. It's Avondale PJs. No, they wasn't invited, but when we feed one of our kids, we feed them, so forth and so on. Because they were there, I only feel some type of way because she was actually one of those who you had to watch. She was at the party. She kept doing things she had no business doing. I asked where she was, where was her mother several times. No one knew. I guess one of the other neighbors took her home because of what she kept doing. The girl was back out less than 5 minutes. Mother never came to door, asked or saw who had or bring the baby home. Anyhow, I left around 7:45 p.m., maybe before. I was in bed by 8:24, and I stay across town. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion, but it's nobody's fault. Let's just pray she's unharmed and safe wherever she is. We did the best we could while she was there, enjoying herself at the party. And I hate this happened, but I thought the little girl was back at home again. It was dark. We was packing up, doing a head count on our kids. We all got 3, 4, 5 kids and up, so it's only so much a person can do, especially when their kids are big. I was out there at least from 3 to 7, and I yet to see who the little girl was with, other than the brother, who was enjoying himself like a kid. I'm not saying this to belittle the mom. I'm just being honest because I was there. I'm sad also. So guys, what do you think about that? You know, about leaving your child unattended, depending on complete strangers to watch your child. I know they were in like a housing project area, and I guess people assume that other people are looking out for their kids, but I can't reiterate enough that we are living in an era where times have changed. People are crazier, people are sicker, and there's just so much going on that we can't be creating opportunities for our children to be abducted and murdered. So that was the Kamille McKinney case. Latest update that there's a hearing tomorrow morning, 9:30 a.m. And I will look for footage of that and come back and do a follow-up video on Kamille McKinney's case. And then the fourth little black girl murder that I'm going to cover is Trinity Love Jones. And this was a little girl who was murdered by her mother and the mother's boyfriend, or by the mother's boyfriend. And this is a 9-year-old girl that was killed in California. And so it says California, and this was earlier this year, like in April. And it says California police have identified the girl whose body was found inside a duffel bag near the equestrian trail last week. She was 9 years old, Trinity Love Jones. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department said she was a Los Angeles County resident. The coroner's office ruled her death a homicide, but the cause of death is being withheld. The Sheriff's Department said investigators detained 2 persons of interest in the case and continue to actively investigate. There is no record of Trinity Love Jones as a missing person in the California missing persons system, the Justice Department said. After learning her identity, relatives arrived at a memorial to the girl established where her body had been found in Hacienda Heights. Antonio Jones told the news station that Trinity was his youngest daughter. She was full of character, full of life, full of joy. Words can't express what I'm feeling right now. I just want answers. I just want justice. The girl was found Tuesday morning in the area south of Hacienda Boulevard and Glenmark Drive, just below a Buddhist temple, according to police. And remember, this happened earlier this year in like March or April. Her head and upper body were protruding from the partially zipped rollaway black duffel bag. Last week, Los Angeles County Sheriff's Lieutenant Scott Hoagland said authorities believe the girl was left the evening of March 3rd in light brush by the trail, but it was not clear if she was dead or alive at the time. 8 years before, a former Long Beach woman was charged with killing her daughter, Trinity Love Jones, and dumping the body in Hacienda Heights. She was accused of abusing and neglecting the then 1-year-old child, according to a report from the Los Angeles County Department of Children and Family Services. The report includes an allegation of sexual abuse because Tequesta Graham was a registered sex offender, said Michelle Vega, public Affairs Director of DCFS. She said DCFS found the sexual abuse allegation unfounded and the allegation of neglect inconclusive. Trinity appeared to be healthy, nourished, developing appropriately without any signs of trauma or abuse, and was visibly bonded to her mother, according to a statement from DCFS. The social worker interviewed the mother and other contacts and assessed the living conditions of the home, which were all appropriate. According to standard policy and the review of supervisors, the referral was closed. The March 18 report was provided to the Southern California News Group after it asked DCFS for reports pertaining to Jones. Under Senate Bill 39, case files pertaining to a child who died as a result of neglect or child abuse must be released to the public with limitation. The report on Jones is heavily redacted. Names, addresses, and certain details were blacked out. Prior to releasing documents under SB 39, information that identifies any person or institution other than the county or state Department of Social Services, information that would jeopardize a criminal investigation or proceeding, or information that is privileged and confidential is redacted, according to Vega. DCFS received one call to the Child Protection Hotline regarding Jones on June 13, 2011. What the caller, who was not identified, said was blacked out. Social workers went to the mother's home to assess the safety and well-being of the one-year-old girl, the department statement said. Vega said the only referral to the department involving Jones was in 2011, and the child's primary caregiver then was the mother. The primary caregiver has a history of abuse or neglect as a child, has a criminal history, has had a mental health problem before, and has had a drug problem, marijuana, according to the report. Authorities have charged Graham, 28, and her boyfriend, 39-year-old Emil Hunt, with the child's murder. Monique Williams, who is Graham's attorney in the homicide case, says she was not aware of the 2011 allegation of neglect and could not comment on it. Sheriff's homicide detectives believe Jones was killed March 1st and the duffel bag containing her body dumped the same day near a trail on Hacienda Boulevard in Hacienda Heights. On March 5th, the Los Angeles County Parks and Recreations crew arrived to clear brush and discovered Jones' body protruding from the bag. She was wrapped in a blanket. 3 days later, Graham and Hunt were stopped in Texas and authorities arrested Graham on a warrant for a parole violation. Hunt drove back to California, where detectives found him the next day sleeping in his parked SUV near the San Diego International Airport. Investigators arrested him. Graham is a registered sex offender. She pleaded no contest in 2009 to enticing a girl for prostitution in San Bernardino County and was sentenced to 44 days in jail and 5 years probation. So who child was she out there soliciting for prostitution? It's crazy. Graham violated probation in 2010, 2011, 2014. In 2016, the court revoked her probation again, but this time sentenced her to 2 years in prison. Then another story says a hearing was delayed again. No, let's go back to that last sentence right there. So she was arrested on this charge, but violated probation 3 times. And they still left this little girl in her care, left her daughter in her care. And the father, he did a press conference and he seemed to have been a part of his child's life. And so why didn't he step up and take this child away from the mother, or demand that the child be taken away from the mother? And so in another, a more recent article, it says a hearing was delayed again for a couple accused of killing the woman's 9-year-old daughter, Trinity Love Jones, whose body was dumped by a Hacienda Heights equestrian trail. And then May 21st, wearing Los Angeles County jail jumpsuits, Tequesta Graham, 29, and Emil Hunt, 39, appeared Tuesday in Superior Court in Pomona for their scheduled arraignment, which was continued to June 27 at the request of defense attorneys. Graham looked like she had been crying when she entered the court. She sat behind Hunt. Tequesta Graham, 28, is a suspect in the slaying of her daughter, Trinity L. Jones. The body of the 9-year-old was found on March 5, 2019. Graham's boyfriend, Emil Hunt, was charged with Love's murder. And then it says, wearing a shirt featuring images of the daughter, Trinity's father, Antonio Jones, kept his eyes on the couple. The Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office filed a murder charge against Hunt on March 12th and against Graham on March 20th. If convicted, Hunt faces a possible maximum sentence of 50 years to life in prison. Graham could get sentenced to 26 years to life in prison. It says detectives said the death was a homicide but declined to reveal how Jones was killed. At the investigators' request, the autopsy report was placed under a security hold, which means the coroner cannot discuss the autopsy results. The couple in Love lived with a relative in Long Beach, then moved to in 2018. They were homeless and stayed at either a motel in Santa Fe Springs or Hunt's vehicle, detectives said. Once again, if she had a father out there who's now acting like a concerned father, why didn't you go get your baby girl away from this woman who obviously had issues? And so it says why Love was killed is still unknown. On March 8th, Graham and Hunt was stopped by Border Patrol checkpoint in Sierra Blanca, Texas. Authorities arrested Graham for a parole violation warrant. Hunt headed back to California. Detectives found him March 9th sleeping in his parked SUV near San Diego International Airport. Graham was later extradited to California. Graham and Hunt remain in county jail. Documents detail the malnutrition and abuse of a 3-year-old boy who suffered at the hands of his father, who is now facing murder charges in the death of a 9-year-old girl found in a duffel bag on Hacienda Heights hiking trail. So this man had already been arrested for abusing his own 3-year-old child. Like, this was a recipe for disaster. Like, there was no way all this manner of craziness was going to end well for any child in the presence of these fools. So Emil Lemire Hunt, 38, was charged with murder Tuesday in the death of 9-year-old Trinity Love Jones. Was previously convicted of child abuse in 2005 after his toddler son was found unresponsive, malnourished, and bruised at their San Diego home. Documents obtained by NBC7 on Wednesday described the events of March 30th, 2004, when San Diego department officers found the unresponsive 3-year-old boy and rushed him to Rady Children's Hospital trauma unit. The child had severe bloating and internal injuries to his chest, abdomen, back, arms, and legs. The SDPD officer described in the documents he was intubated and had several episodes of low heart rate and required drugs to bring up the heart rate. And it says the 3-year-old was underweight. He was in the 3rd percentile for children his age and had old scars and bruises all over his body. A doctor told police the child had malnutrition that could only have been caused by prolonged neglect. Hunt was subsequently arrested on 1 count of torture and 2 counts of child abuse. Following the arrest, Hunt's partner at the time, Patricia Frazier, was interviewed about the child's care while in their custody. When officers asked Frazier if the couple punished the child, she admitted Hunt would spank the boy with a belt or cord about 4 times a week. She also described to police how they would withhold food from the toddler as a form of punishment. When he did eat, the meals consisted of green beans and mixed vegetables. Meat was only given as a reward. Oh my God. The man's father told NBC7, Amari Fleming, that he hasn't talked to his son in years and has nothing to do with him. A year following his arrest, Hunt pleaded guilty to 1 count of child abuse and was sentenced to 12 years in prison. Frazier was ordered by the California Superior Court of San Diego County to attend a year-long child abusers treatment program because of the abuses that she witnessed. Hunt was arrested in connection with Jones' killing on Saturday, March 9th, as he slept in his car. He appeared in a Pomona courtroom on Tuesday to face murder charges but did not enter a plea. It says Hunt's estranged father, who said his prior child abuse conviction could have played a role in, was asked if it could have played a role in Jones' death, and he responded it could have. I would say yes. And so here we are once again, a crazy mother who should not have had custody of her child, getting involved with a man who had nothing to offer her to make her life better and to make her a better person. We got a father who obviously knew all this craziness was going on but didn't seek custody of his daughter. And then we find out that years earlier, 14 years earlier, that this man had spent 12 years in prison for abusing his own child, and that he had a girlfriend who sat there and witnessed the abuse of his child and did nothing, didn't say anything. And so I don't know what the answer is. It's like some people should not be allowed to have children, and that there needs to be better oversight. And for God's sake, if you are the parent of these children and you know that the people that have your children are not fit to be parents, if you are the relative of these people, you have got to step in. You've got to say something. You've got to do something to help these children, because these children don't ask to be here. They don't ask to be born to these crazy ass people, and they just deserve better. And there is no way, like with the Kamille case, there is no way I'm going to be hosting a party for my child and another child, a 3-year-old for Christ's sake, shows up, and I'm not going to take the time, the due diligence to go find out where this child came from, who's her parent, and why is her parent allowing her 3-year-old to just roam freely in the world. And then the first case that I talked about with the little girl in Pennsylvania, like if this man just 5 months before your child was killed, if this man was acting irrational, how could you skip court for the protection order and let the protection order expire when you know that this man has displayed mental illness? He's threatened harm to himself. He's threatened harm to you. Why would you allow him to have unsupervised visits? But then again, there was somebody with him when they were in the car, so maybe she felt because this brother or cousin or whoever was with them that the girlfriend was, I don't know what this woman was thinking, like, my God. And so in all 4 of these cases, it just seems like something could have been done, something preventive to help these kids, somebody caring enough about these kids to check on their well-being, because in all 4 cases you have a father who was a part of the child's life, that was present in the child's life. And it's still, we think of single mothers, they got to bear the burden, they got to do all this, but in all these cases the mothers are questionable, the fathers are present, but still nobody prioritized the child to make sure the child was safe. So guys, that's it for me. Any updates that come about, I'm going to be following all 5 of these cases, the 4 little girls, and then the young lady that's missing. If her body is recovered or if she is found alive. It doesn't seem hopeful, but anything is possible, and I will continue to follow these stories all the way through the trials and hopefully the convictions of these cold-blooded murderers, and that they get the justice that they receive. So that's it for me. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. Rate the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and until the next time, I shall talk to you guys later. And hug your kids real tight and let them know that you love them every day, every opportunity that you get. You guys take care and have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.